Welcome back to Weekly Briefing. After months of indicating that he would allow an audit, a Georgia state court judge dismissed the lawsuit this week that would have allowed Georgia voters to see the ballots that allegedly say Joe Biden won. Our democracy has succumbed to a point where the citizens are not allowed to check the work of the government. Chris, what's your reaction to the judge just throwing this case out for lack of standing?
Pretty inconsistent.
9 months later.
Because if they had enough standing to litigate the case for 9 months, how is it suddenly they don't have a right to litigate it? Normally ballots are considered to be public records, and the public has a right to those public records, not images of the records, but the actual records themselves. In Florida, public records or ballots are public records, and they can be examined. The public can't touch the ballot, but an election official can display it and show it. So they retain custody of it physically. I think that's the case here in Georgia. Expect an appeal and expect a very embarrassing reversal. I
think that could be right. Malik, what do you think about the court not allowing the voters to confirm the work of the government?
Talking about Georgia on our mind. This is more of a crap show that's happening down there in Georgia. And it's ironic that the topic that I chose, and I'm going to talk about later, is that does this happen in Fulton County again?
Yeah, this is Fulton County.
Well, there you go. This is Fulton County once again.
You were vibing with what's happening.
Yeah, like literally here. Yeah, I don't understand that. I don't know how someone who lives in a state, and apparently in a county, don't have standing. I don't understand that, and I would love to know. I would love to know from the judge. Well, give me an example of who would have standing in this sort of case,
or who would have standing for 9 months and then not have standing. But I think the interesting piece here is he had already had them turn over the ballot images, so they already know what they're looking for.
So they were just verifying
just to confirm their findings, and he simply refused to allow them to confirm their findings, which to me is.
So what?
Is really suspicious. It's like you already turned over the images. You already let them do the analysis.
Right.
Yeah.
Why won't you let them confirm their findings?
What do you think?
Suddenly they don't have standing. It's very fishy. It is a very, very fishy
And it feeds into the narrative that people, the reservations that people have about whether or not this was a fair election.
Yeah, it does. People are concerned about it, and it's for reasons like this. But leaked Border Patrol documents show this week that since March, at least 160,000 illegal immigrants have been released into the country with little to no oversight from the Biden administration. Dr. Shea, what do you think of these numbers?
I'm confused about that headline there because he didn't say he was deporting them. He said he was freely letting them in. We've known this for months.
Right.
I talked about the 5-part series that I did for Daily Signal here before on border security. 2 things to note about this that a lot of people don't get. Biden encouraging people to come in illegally is actually dangerous for them. First of all, nobody gets across that border without the authorization of the cartels and paying them. They're very dangerous criminal enterprises. It does not always work out well for immigrants. It can be fatal. The other thing I learned from law enforcement and residents down on the border is that when immigrants are bused into the interior, a lot of times they're just dumped. They have this false hope that they're getting housing, food, life will be wonderful. They're dumped there without shelter, without food, and residents end up getting together, trying to help them out of the kindness of their American hearts. And so it's not this beautiful picture that Biden administration
paints. And I also think the numbers are low. I think it's a heck of a lot more than 160,000.
Absolutely.
I think this is the liberal left's long game, because they realize that even though illegal immigrants can't vote, they are counted in the census when they get ready to decide how many votes that each state has, and they're looking to turn red states blue by flooding the states with illegal immigrants. They're packing Texas, they're packing Arizona now, is bleeding all over the place. And so this way they figure, the kids of these illegal immigrants will vote Democrat. They are looking at a long game to be able to change the states in their favor in the future. So it's about power.
That's interesting. I do think that's an interesting point. I think that could be why they don't mind that people are flooding through the southern border, but I also think they fully intend on cheating. So having more people in the country just makes it easier to cheat, I think.
Right, and that's why they don't want ID cards.
Right, exactly.
Because you can have all the illegals and all the dead people vote.
Yeah, exactly.
And you stay in office forever.
All right, it is time for the lightning round. Here we have 3 minutes and give the panelists each 10 seconds to answer and get through as many questions as possible. We will start with Malik. Superman's son apparently is now bisexual. Does anyone really care about the sexuality of cartoons? Is this a good decision?
No, I don't think it's a good decision, and also that people don't care. But I know I'm a big DC Comics fan, and so now they've lost me on this one.
I'm exhausted by the fact that the entertainment industry continues to define Americans by their sexual identity and cram it down our throats.
It's a perverse twist on, polluting what would ordinarily be a kid's comic. Everything is sexualized, everything is, twisted to a narrative that advances somebody's agenda.
Right. No one cares.
Oh, this is woke's going to be broke. Because
President Trump
this
said
won't
it.
fly.
Yep. All right, is Tesla moving their operations out of California a good move?
Absolutely. The businesses go where they actually have a receptive state, and I think, aren't they going to Texas, I believe?
Yes.
It speaks volumes about California's business environment, doesn't it?
Why would anyone stay in California?
People are fleeing.
CEOs voted California the least friendly business state. CEOs, all in America, it ranked last for.
Wow.
So this is a great move for Tesla.
All right, how much longer are the supply chain issues we're seeing going to last?
I think they're going to last for a while, and Biden is now seeing that there's very little that he can do about it.
I think as long as people feel like they can't go back to work because of COVID, or they have to give care at home to kids or elderly, or they're being paid by the government more to stay home, then they would be, waiting tables or whatever.
Naturally, I believe there's a sinister aspect to this, and I think that there are those that enjoy and exploit supply chain problems for a reason.
I love your devious mind, Chris Farrell.
This will not be cleared up this year. And listen, it's so funny that Biden had a panel to come up with adding extra hours that any retail store would come up. They're not coming out with brilliant ideals, and this is not a brilliant ideal. So, we might be on the street begging for food.
Hope not. All right, don't go anywhere. When we come back from the break, we cover this week's panel's choice and see which topics they thought were important. We'll be right back.